is that Xbox has just laid off 5% of its employees. Again. And it's got people wondering, like, dude, Xbox, Microsoft, aren't you guys supposed to be in your golden age? These guys got Game Pass. They bought Bethesda and swallowed up Activision whole. And yet, all of a sudden, we are just watching this castle bursting at the seams. What the hell is going on, Xbox? But then again, what if I told you, analysts, that all of this was inevitable? That this was less of a glitch and more of a consequence of how Xbox redefined what it actually means to succeed in gaming. You see, Xbox actually thought that the future was in a Netflix-style growth curve. Build a subscription service, pump it full of content, and lock users in. Simple. And in order to do that, Xbox needed a massive war chest. So they bought Zenimax, they bought Bethesda, they bought up Activision Blizzard, and more. It honestly looked impressive from where I was standing. Because I was like, bruh, Xbox has finally got their skin in the game, man. Xbox is finally fighting. Xbox is about to strike back. This is going to be like the Empire Strikes Back. Xbox is done taking Sony's crap, man. They're about to start delivering dedicated first-party exclusives. It's going to be incredible. But no. That's not what happened. In fact, the big issue is when you chase scale, you trade away your soul. Because you see, scale doesn't really care about quality. No. It cares about engagement, about monthly active users, about data. That's what scale really cares about. And in trying to industrialize something as artistic as game development, Xbox truly forgot what industry they're actually in. I remember when Phil Spencer actually said that people think that all we have to do is just create great games, and that is somehow supposed to change Xbox's luck or reputation, and things are going to get better like Sony. And he said, nah, that's not the case. That's not going to happen.
Our vision is that everybody who's on console has to feel like they have a great experience and they're a first-class citizen. They've invested a ton in our platform. But we are not in a position, and I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift.
And when he said that, the main question that came bubbling onto the surface of my mind was, okay then, Phil Spencer, if making great games is not going to change your situation somehow, then what will? What industry do you think you're actually operating in?
Answer me, motherfucker!
So yeah, thanks to scale, you get Game Pass with 100 plus or so games, right? But you also get a Redfall. You get promises that never actually deliver. You get AAA bloat without any of the AAA magic. And here's the kicker, my analyst. When you need millions of users to justify your platform's existence, that also means you need absolute bangers. They need 1 million players, but they forgot that they still need masterpieces. Phew, bro. It is chilly in here. You see, analysts, on paper, buying up legendary studios like Bethesda and Activision Blizzard should mean letting masters be masters. But when it comes to Microsoft's hands-off approach, in actuality, it's just negligence dressed up as trust. Case in point, Redfall. You see, reports actually say that Microsoft was completely uninvolved in the development process of Redfall. They were hands-off to the point of absence. Developers at Arcane Austin were actually hoping that Microsoft would step in and cancel or reboot the damn thing because they knew it was failing. But nobody showed up. Not a single person showed up. I think it's probably because they were still tied up. All the execs were tied up dealing with the legal issues of the absorption of Activision Blizzard. That's most likely the case. And what was the result of Microsoft's absence? We got a gutted studio. Nearly 70% of Arcane's Austin senior leadership and developers left during the development cycle. Then of course, in May 2024, how could we forget, Microsoft finally pulled the plug and shut down Arcane Studios, citing performance issues. So what do you think, analysts? Is this creative freedom or just abandonment? Is this a hands-off approach? Trusting your devs to do what needs to be done, or simply negligence at its best? Studios are left with no direction, no internal push for greatness. There is no fire that is lit up under them to get them to be motivated to push towards something great. It's like they bought the Sistine Chapel and told Michelangelo to just vibe, bro. Just go with the vibes. And not to mention that Game Pass is also a warped disaster too. Why do I say that? Because the goal of Game Pass was no longer just substance, but it became more of stickiness. That's how Arcane ended up making a miserable looter shooter called Redfall. Something they have absolutely no business in making. They are well known for their talents when it comes to making and creating immersive, deep, rich open worlds. Okay, not open worlds, but open-ish. And look, the reason as to why the Netflix model fails in gaming is quite simple. Gaming isn't TV. You don't binge a game over the weekend and then just move on. A great game, really great games, they live in your bones, in your DNA. But a subscription model simply doesn't, it don't reward none of that. It rewards short-term retention, live service hooks, quick updates over long-term innovation, and it's simply not sustainable. I mean, for goodness sake, game budgets are over hundreds of millions of dollars these days. You either sell the game at full price or have tens of millions of subscribers on Game Pass right now. And Xbox has neither. So then what do? Exactly, you guessed it. The only thing they can do, they bring down the hammer. They have to cut costs. They have to lay people off, downsize the vision. And look, man, I commend Xbox for the bold move of actually going ahead and buying all these studios as well as Zenimax and also giving us a once-in-a-lifetime moment of the biggest purchase in gaming history. Takes balls, takes guts to do that, you know? I'm grateful that they had the balls to actually do something that risky. But then this was always a gamble. It was always a risk. Xbox basically tried to swallow the whole industry whole without having the stomach to handle it, like an anaconda choking on an elephant. Buying up Activision wasn't just expensive, it was also distracting. They spent years in legal battles trying to prove that they weren't going to create a monopoly, while failing to prove they could even make great games to begin with. That's the irony, isn't it? Xbox is over here buying up studios, trying to cut the journey short, the journey to success, the journey to greatness, trying to take the shortcut. Instead of doing what Sony did and mentoring, not mentoring, but nurturing studios to greatness. They wanted to bypass the entire process of hard work and failure and just get to the finish line. And now where are they? Their studios are stretched thin, projects are mismanaged, and worst of all, the gamers don't trust anymore. And what we're witnessing right now, the result of all this tomfoolery, to put it mildly, was that in 2024, Microsoft had to shut down 4 studios, including Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks, of course. And one of Arcane's creative leads, get this, actually called it a fucking stab in the gut, saying that Microsoft had the power to nurture these studios but simply didn't. You see, Postman said that in the age of show business, everything becomes entertainment. Even layoffs, of course, are packaged into PR statements and simply glossed over. Even failure itself is disguised as strategic pivoting. Xbox stopped being a games company and became a content distributor. And of course, when everything is content, nothing is sacred. So here's the core truth. Game Pass didn't kill Xbox, but the philosophy behind it might just. When you build your empire on infinite content, infinite growth, infinite access, you forget that gaming was always about